Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Boxer, the technical trader at thetechtrader.com. It's Sunday, May the 28th. Happy Memorial Day weekend, everybody. And it's time for the weekend webinar. Let's take a look at some of the indices and what they're up to. We've had a good end of the week with the last couple of days on the S&P after dipping midweek to test trend line and moving averages very, very successfully at the 50, having dipped down to 41.04. We closed at 42.05 for 100 points off the low, and at the highest level close we've seen since way back in September of last year. So this is a very strong indication they may want to go higher. And the trend line indication here is that we might see a quick run to 4,300, my next target, then 4,330 in that zone. Then I'm looking at 44, 44.50. Right now the trend is your friend. This is your last 18 months since we hit the all-time high January 4th of 22. And you can see the big 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave decline followed by a huge move. This is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In other words, wave 1 and 2, this is 3 and 4 and 5. Big reversal, now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is a 1, 2 of 5. In my opinion, I'm thinking that this is 3, 4, and 5 will get us up to 4,500 at some point. NASDAQ 100 looks even better with all the generals leading the way. Very big week for them. Look at the last couple days. The market spiked literally from pulling back to 13,520 and finishing at nearly 14,300. About 750 points in the last couple of days. Really, really big move. And that's the highest close as well since April of last year. So a 52-week high, and now the target's 15,001 to 15,005 in that zone. Well, the problem with all of this is that we do not have confirmation, Dow theory forecast, Dow theory confirmation from the transportation index, which, if you can see, is still mired in a falling wedge. Now, it's not terrible, but it also does not warm the cockles on my heart technically, meaning I don't see the confirmation. We need to get the transportation up above, let's call it 14,578.80. in order for this to confirm what's going on with the NASDAQ 100 and S&P 500 and the Dow, of course. But now the Dow Jones 20, though, is not confirming, and that's always a laggard and perhaps a negative divergence. We shall see how that works out. Small caps are doing the same. They're not doing much better, which is okay because you want the quality stocks to be leading the way, not the small caps. But would like to see transportation participating, though. In order for the small caps to participate, the IWM needs to get over 180. I've been saying that for 2 months. So the problem is right now getting that done along with the transportation index, which has been both of these lag. So it's kind of a fragmented market. The underlying technicals show that the McClellan oscillator also is going nowhere, and it's kind of neutral at minus 25, which is fine. It doesn't show overbought, but the market moving up, the general market breadth, meaning advanced declines and up-down volume, just is not impressive because that's what the oscillator is comprised of. And as of right now, you can see minus 25 is not a confirming reading for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. So that's a real concern in terms of the underlying breadth of the market. Always has been. Now, the percentage, and this is also disconcerting, percentage of stocks above their 40-day moving average are only 37%. That means that about 3 out of 8 stocks are above their 40. Certainly not good market leadership, although the pattern shows a big explosive move in the backing and filling it here. So there's still room to go. And we really don't get overbought until we get to plus 80. A long way to go to get there. So market is set up for more upside, but without better underlying technicals, I am concerned. After reviewing that this weekend, I'm going from very bullish to more neutral bullish stance. We shall see. The VIX index is certainly not anywhere near fear, but it's also not at complacency, which would be down here in the high single digits to low teens. The lowest we got was 15 back in May, earlier May, I should say. That's actually April 28th, April 27th. So at the end of April, we saw a low reading, the lowest reading we had on this index in a year and a half. So it does show some complacency, but not enough, I think, to turn this market lower. However, you would think it'd be a bit more of fear. There's not, with all that's going on in the marketplace. All right, so the underlying technicals there. Let's take a look at the components, and they are rocking it. Apple is near its high. An all-time high was reached here, 182.94. We're up 175, so we're 7 points away, about 3%, maybe 4%. Still a beautiful rising channel off the January low. And you can see the angle of ascent very strong. Last 3 days, the market, which held support at the prior low, no question, 170 is support, followed by 166. Targets 180, and then the all-time high. Amazon, you can see Amazon, big day Friday, huge, up 559. But more importantly, it came off support and rammed right up to the lateral price resistance. This is a key level for Amazon. We get through here, this can blow through. But the problem is we're at the top of the channel as well, so there may be some resistance here. We'll see. If we follow through here, this is a blowout time for the market and Amazon, and Apple as well. What about Google? No slouch at all. Right near the highs, this beautiful triple bottom breakout, bull wedge or coil above the moving averages, and then a breakout here above the quadruple top, and led this Google to a huge move from about 104.5 range up to 120. The high was 127 last week. Now, you can see after pulling down, it came right back up again. So we have a chance of a massive move that takes this one. My next target is 135.38, and then 145. Netflix really came on. We're breaking out of the coil and then backed off. But now, what a move on Friday. Dropping 22 points or 6%. I would say there's some resistance just above here, but then your target would be this big snapback. And that comes in around 448.50. Let's see. Yeah, 458. So there's a lot of room to run further on Netflix, and this might be breakout time. We shall see if that does follow through. Meta looks darn good too, to say the least. Look at that move. We're talking 88 to 263 since November. Fantastic. This has certainly led the NASDAQ 100. It's already into the gap. And just to fill that gap, a minimum target would be 289. And we could be 26 more points up. So that's a pretty powerful look on that one too. Microsoft, fantastic. Breaks out across a double top here and surging. Now might be headed up towards that triple top area, which is 346.47. And we've broken through the top of this angle. Likely that is now the new angle. So we're extended, overbought. Yeah, of course. Great momentum though. What about NVIDIA? Certainly with the semiconductor leading the way. Look at this. A major gap breakaway, or should I say, it could be an exhaustion gap because after 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, momentum could carry this one to 450, 480. But quite frankly, this could be in a blow-off stage. It's got to be really careful up here, similar to what we had up here. Although that's a huge gap on those blowout earnings reports. So certainly that's happening. And Tesla, no slouch, although it's much behind the rest of them. Had a good day Friday, up 9.5 points or 5%. It is at resistance at 191-ish, 192. The next target would be up here at 2078, and then the intermediate high to 1718. That's what I'll be looking for going forward next week. Obviously, the tracking stocks would be attractive as well. So look at some of the major components, underlying indicators. Let's look at some of the ETFs. Look at this semiconductor index, the SMH, the Van Eck Vectors Semiconductor ETF. Blow off time. Well, big gap on Thursday, beautiful fall through on Friday. And in just 2 days from a dip down at 127, a rip to 147, and a tag of the channel top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So is this overbought? I would say short term, yes, but it just broke out over double top and might be headed on momentum to 158.60. Yeah, 158.9 is the target zone if we blow up. The TQQQ and the SOXL2 ETF for that group, fantastic breakout time. Highest level since June of last year on both. This was actually September, but you can see the massive breakouts. So semiconductors is looking great, but financials are not, as one would expect with interest rates the way they are. But with the banking situation, of course, still they're trying to stabilize. We shall see. Friday was a decent day for it, up 2.5%. Biotechs, well, they are the third leading group I follow. Had a tough week as it reversed downward, but did bounce on Friday. It was an inside day though. If the XBI goes below 82.5, I'm going to have a big problem with this. And the LABU also a little troubling in that it was looking fantastic, like it was going to explode. And along with the midweek decline in the market, the biotechs took a dip. As a matter of fact, slightly under support, breaking the trend line, still above the 50. That's your next support. So it's questionable with only these semiconductors really leading the way, and with a very narrow market breadth-wise, if this market is as strong as some people think it could be. I would like to see it stronger. Certainly the bears have reason for hope based on what I'm showing you today. In terms of the market turning back down, and these breaking support, biotechs and financials. Another look at FAS. You'll see what I mean. When these two indices are ETFs, the financials and biotechs are completely behind what's going on in the SMH. I mean, a completely different action. So they certainly trail semiconductors, and that's always something to keep in mind. Strong earnings in the semiconductor group. It's but we're not seeing the confirmation from the other chief indices that I follow, financials and biotechs. Now, oil, what's going on there? Bit of a bounce, still within a nasty decline. If you look at the UCO, it's now in a one-year bear market. Yeah, the UCO is up to 55 and it's trading at 24 now, and forming a bear wedge. The USO, same thing. This thing's dropped from 91 to as low as 58, currently at 64, but in a bear wedge. Be really careful with oil. I still think there's reason to be bearish. We'll see. What about gas? Well, gas has been coming down and the KOLD's been ripping it. Take a look at the rebound last week in KOLD. They're coming down at under 55 from near 90. We not only snapped back, but we closed back above the 50. That's a good sign for gas going lower and KOLD going higher. That is a little disturbing to me, since I was hoping to see the UNG and BOIL do better. And you can see after looking like they were breaking out, gap down and a hard pullback. So sloppy for me, I would avoid for now. Look at gold. Well, the only positive about gold is it's come all the way down to the trend line in wave 4. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4. It's same with Nugget and JNUG. So it might be time for the market to back off after we get a little bit further run and gold to start making a move, but I don't know. And AGQ looks the same, not even as bad. It's a little bit better, but still unattractive to me, below the moving averages on all of these. So be careful with precious metals, oil, etc. There we go. Lots of stocks to talk about. Let's get to it. Bullish looking charts. ACLX, look at this chart. Breakaway pop, a little bit of a pullback to test that high, and then a bounce. Right now, the angle of ascent appears to me to be something like this, and a target around 1920. EHR rebounded last week, late. Stop under 29. Buy over 33.5, 3/4, 6, about 34. 33.5. Might get you 38 to 40. AI, what a comeback. It smacked this from 34 down to 20. No, sorry, 17, 16. 1679 from 34, folks, in a month. And then from 1679, right back up to 33. Pretty amazing move. Matter of fact, it's challenging the high again. And if this gets through that, you might see an explosive move into the low 40s. Keep an eye on AI next week. The others in that group, I don't like GFAI at all. Okay, and BRFG, the CAXI. I mean, we're seeing so many. CXAI. There you go. Wedge there, and maybe they break out, but AI is the leader by far and the best actor. Biotech ALDX, Aldera, I've been following this for a long time. It's now consolidating for 2 months and maybe setting up for another leg up if it holds support. Right now, key support is 899. Target 11 and 13. Swing trade AM with a pop coil, pop ascending coil, and then breakout, but flagging now. This next week takes out 1530, go for it. I'm looking for a high teens, low 20s. AMD, unbelievable move. 3 weeks ago, trading at 81, it's made it up to 127.43 and closed 3 cents off the 1 year high, 52-week high in AMD as well. That's why you can see why semiconductors are doing what they're doing. Is it overbought? Of course it is, short term. ANF, the retailer, some retailers acting well. This one came out of a falling channel with a breakaway gap and it's holding. And should ANF get up above 31.75 or thereabout, my target's 36. APLD exploded. I believe we have a swing on this one. It looks great. Bottom line is it's channeling. And it looks higher, 12 and 15 targets. APLS is a swing, sorry. It popped there, we put a swing on it and then kept running and made our targets. Now it's wedging. Next target's 107.8. APP, breakaway gap, that also is a swing. And then popped and pulled back and it's flagging. Fill that little gap. Next target, 28 and 30. APYX, nice pop breakaway move. Another rising channel targeting 7 3/4, 9 and 11. ARCT met my target at 34 and then pulled back. Orderly retrace, neutral technicals. If it holds, my next target is 34 and 38. ARLO, beautiful breakaway pop and coil. Started to trend, broke away, flag, target 11. Atomera, very successful swing. We put it on at 6 3/4 or something like that and ran to 2 targets, eventually tagging 1072 and pulling back and doing a 0.375 fib retracement that held support and rallied right back from a pullback low of 776 to Friday's high at 1024. I'm now looking for a retest of the high around 10 3/4, 11 3/4, and eventually 15. AVDL coming out of a beautiful pattern. Now in a kind of a wedge. We break out of here. I would now target 16, 17 zone. Inverse head and shoulder breakout in Azul, and you can see it's continuing. I would look for a test of the 10 3/4, 85 zone next. Beyond that, mid-teens. BLBD, beautiful inverse head and shoulders breakaway, retest the neckline and a moving average. Explode with a breakaway gap, run up to the target, near resistance. Pull back in a nice flag, breakaway gap, another retest, and a pop and a new high for the pullback. However, it just looks like this is the kind of stock that can make 40 bucks in the next few months. BLPH, 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's a 3-wave corrective flag. Don't want to see it much further than that. Support around 6, 6 1/4. Targets are 10, 12.5, and 18 eventually, potentially. Biomea, spike in March. Falling wedge, pop, and coil. If the coil breaks, we're looking at a $45 stock, potentially. CGNT pop, we put a swing on it and went to target number 1, pulled back, and it's been coiling for about 6 weeks. Breakout now when you're looking at 5, 5 3/4, and 6.5. CLSK, long downtrend, breaks out, retests, forms a wedge, breaks out of that. Now an ascending bull wedge with a triple top. This is what I'd be looking for, folks. If you can get above 515, looking for 6 3/4 and 8. COCO has been a beautiful uptrend since November, and it continues to run. Top of the channel is just above us around 28, but it could accelerate into the low 30s. CRISPR popped, we put a swing on it, and then pulled back on a flag, falling wedge to test moving average and price support. When that held at 47.5, 60, and then exploded vertically to 71, and now after a wedge formed, it popped out and double topped and pulled back. Net support 60, resistance 72. Above 72, it's 80 and 88. CRSR Corsair, a nice base pattern broke out and it's flagging. This should be a swing to about 24. CXAI, we showed you earlier, any of the AI stocks that pop like that and wedge, we want to see where support is. I need this to hold 6 1/4. My targets are 10, 14, 18. Daktronics, beautiful rising channel and just broke out. Extension target 7 3/4. DKNG swing trade. Pop broke out, put a swing on it, and ran up, and it's been stair-stepping its way higher. My target is 29.30 now. ELEV, talk about volatility. Spike up, coil, spike up, run up, pull back hard, and spike up again. Very volatile little junior biotech. Resistance is just ahead up here around 6.5. ELF, one of the best charts of the year, in my opinion, maybe the last year and a half. From May of last year, 21 to Thursday's high of 104. Pretty impressive pattern. Momentum could carry it to about 112.15. ELTK, it just went vertical with 2 gaps. This is called a breakaway and running gap. But once you get a running gap and then form a wedge, very impressive. Now, I'm not saying it has enough strength to blow out of here, but take a look at this. The next targets are 9 and 11 3/4. Keep an eye on this one. ENVB pop, pull back for 2 days, exploded, pull back for 2 days. Can we get one more wave up, a 5th wave to get it up to 7.5, 8, maybe 9? Yep, that's my target. ENTB has been a beautiful rising channel all year. Looks like it might be coming out of this consolidation coil for the last couple of months. If it's so, 22 and 26 are targets. EVLV, beautiful base pattern, multiple tops broken here, runs up and it's now forming a little bit of a little wedgie in here. I'm anticipating breakout to 6.5 and 8. FDMT, one of my long-term picks for the year, biotech, been doing nothing but coiling since December, January, when it was flagging. It did come down and test support in that area and then bounce. It's not forming a wedge. My target's at 22, 27. First Solar exploded on earnings and then came all the way back down to test support. So far it's holding, but my stop has to be now under 195.6. My targets are rebound to 210 and 222. GSIT explodes, pulls back in a beautiful wedge. Mobimed with great technicals. Keep an eye on this one. It's a powerful look to it. Meaning, I think if it blows, we could see 7, 9 or more. Low-priced financial firm HTBL, 1, 2, 3, and long 4, 5th waves underway. Could get you to 5. HLIT, finally, after months and months of basing, it spiked up and now it's running up. This is the highest level achieved on HLIT since way back in 2001. So we're talking a 21-year high. And with that kind of a base, it could lead to a very big move. Keep your eye on HLIT for a blow up. Targeting high teens, low 20s. HROW is in trouble. One of my best picks of the year, did very well from December at around 12 all the way and more than doubling to the high 20s. Smackdown and then a bear wedge. This was a warning I gave out last week. When a stock does that, it often will go lower. I'm now looking potentially for a test of 16, 17. Be careful. Probably a short. Little HRTG with a long 1, 2, 3, and now looks like wave 4 maybe underway, but it's a bull flag or coil as well. My target is 6 3/4. IDYA broke out of a long base, wedged, broke out of that, and now it's flagging with multiple tops up here and a resistance zone apparently around 23. And he moved through that, 24.75 and 27 are targets. IFRX, well, didn't remember that big explosion in April. And in 2 days, it went from under 2 to over 7. Well, since then, it's been in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way pullback consolidation coil or whatever. Bottom line is 395.4 is support. Beneath that, it's a big problem. Targets are a rebound to 5, 5.25. If we get to the double top, then you're on your way to 7, 8, 9. Immunogen exploded and pulled back and put a swing on it. It's acting very well with a rising flag. If it pops that flag, 16 and 20 are targets. IMTX coming out of a decline, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down. Reversal, little inverse head and shoulders, and now bull flag. The bull flag pops, your targets are 11.75 and 13.5. IMBT, one of my top picks of the year, continued to look good. Stir stepped up, pulled the flag, broke through a double top, and backed off the retest. Still looking for a retest of 24 and then a run to 28. INOD, big day on Friday up 171 or 17%. Stock's been on my list for a long time. We made a lot of money with it here. Now looking for it to break out and through the October 21 high, which was 11.25. We closed at 11.43, so this one could start running. Keep an eye on it. It's at the top of the channel, but it may be in blow off or breakout mode. INTT's been up all year since the October low, under 7. It's tripled to 23 and change, and now double top there. We get through it, 27 and 32 are targets. INCY, stair step its way up, 5 waves, a 1, 2, a 3, a 4. And fifth wave can take you to 9-10 zone. IONQ, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a big fifth wave to resistance. Not surprised to pull back, but it's holding up pretty well. Should it break out of here, we're looking at 13 and 15. Joe B breaks out of an inverse head and shoulders and runs, but it's kind of choppy but steady. As long as it holds the trend line, your upper channel target has to be now 6 and 6.75. LI, one of the few Chinese electric vehicle manufacturers that really looks good. Breakaway gap out of a base and now flag. Targets 32 and 34. MGNI came out of a mini base with a breakaway and now it's wedging. Your targets are 13.75, 85. Right there. And then 17. Marvel, massive breakaway move on Friday. Strong earnings report. This is in the right group, semiconductors. Momentum could carry this to mid-70s. MU, tech trader swing, broke out of its base and pulled back and formed a nice little wedge, held key support at the breakout point, then reversed. It went from under 65 to 74 and change near my target. Next target is 84. What a nice move in MBIS the last 4 weeks. How about 182, 423, and now consolidating and flagging. If momentum carries it further, 5 and 6 are targets. NEO, the tech trader swing had a 2-month falling wedge that it broke out with a breakaway gap above the moving averages, and now pull back to retest it in an orderly fashion, falling wedge type of pattern. The targets are 21 and 25. Minerva breaks out, mini wedge, pop, and a lot larger coil. My targets are 8, 9, and 10 on this one. And then OX, one of the better swings this year, popped and pulled back. We put a swing on it. It went from, I think it was 8.75 all the way up to 21.5 in about 2 weeks. It's now coiling, consolidating nicely. And if that's a massive 1, 2, look where 3 could take you. 29, 35, possible. Nutanix, breakaway move. A little bit of a follow through Friday before the pullback, but I like it. I'm not looking for low to mid 30s. Navitas, the junior semiconductor, breaks out through a double top, pulls back with a gap, but held the moving average and lateral price support at the gap, and then popped on Friday about 11%. I'm looking for a retest of 9.75 and then 11. OPRA has been stellar all year. From last November's low around under 4, it's made it up to over 16. So let's call it a quadruple, and it's still trending. but it is a little extended. However, it could be going into blow-up mode, which could take it into the high teens. PACB, kind of choppy, but you can see pop flag, pop flag, pop flag, and now lateral flag. It feels like it's going to break out and run. 15 and 18 are targets. PCBX, big base, breakaway gap, and a pullback. I believe this is a top 20 pick for the year. Finally smacked back up again, broke out, and now it's flagging in this area. I think this is 60, 65, 70. PDSB, also one of my picks, and now long decline has been taken back out again with the big pop on Friday. Traded 4.7 million shares and jumped 31%. My targets immediately are 10 and 11. PESI, after a big uptrend and a hard down pullback, and held support. This is your new angle. It feels like something like this. This is what we call an internal trend line. And it may be forming some sort of Andrew's pitchfork. Like if it breaks through here, I got a target at 15 and in the low 20s. PLAB, another semiconductor related stock with a big explosive move, and just in a month has gone from 1386 to 2149 at resistance, however, after this gap was filled. I don't know if it can extend. If it does, 23.5 and 26 are targets. Palantir, pop, pullback, nice pattern, wedge, pop, and rising channel. Continuing to look strong. Big day Friday. Now targeting 15 and 18. PPSI, a big explosive move in March, April. Took this one from 2.5 to 690. Okay, so it tripled and now it's got a beautiful coil. You realize if this breaks out of here, we're looking at 7, 8, 9. PRST pop up big on Friday. Wanted to show you the move. 48% on 11.7 million shares. Near a triple top, and we get through that, your targets are 5.25 and 7. QTRX came out of a base, popped and pulled back, and then ran up again. So it's got a 1, 2, 3, 4 is forming. Fifth wave, 27, 31 targets. Riot, 1, 2, 3, 4. If we break that, looking for a retest of 14.5, 18, and 22. Rambus, powerful semiconductor. This is highest level Rambus has seen since the .com era. 23-year high. Now, is it extended? Sure, but momentum is very strong. You might see low 70s next week. RNG broke out. I put a swing on it. I like the look of it. My target's at 37 to 43. SANA, 1, 2, 3, and now wave 4 pullback. If it does hold here, and it's important, a retest of 8 and then 9.5 would be targets. In the semiconductor group, SGH broke out of its base and went vertical. I would say a retest of 26 might be in order, but it's a little extended. Shake Shack, long downtrend, broken, retested, and then popped on Friday. It was up 266. Now looking for mid and then high 70s. Shopify, breakaway gap, run up to resistance or through it, and then a nice flag pullback. To me, I'm looking for 73 and then 79. Soleno, pop, coil, breakaway, and running channel. I got a target of 6.25 and 7. SMCI going vertical, really a strong stock, very much extended, very strong momentum. How far this goes, hard to say, but here's a stock that's gone from the high 20s tenfold to 210. Oh, sorry, 227. Can it go higher? Of course it can. You better keep stops in this one. SOXL in the semiconductor group, obviously we showed you that earlier, very strong. And this is a swing. That's why I'm showing it to you, 26 target. SYM, beautiful rising channel, broke out of the wedge a week and a half ago from a mini wedge, and it continues to run, and now has gone from under 9 in November to 37. Momentum could carry us to 40, 42. Taboola was a speculative swing here. It broke down. Falling wedge, breakout, wedge again. So with this breakout wedge and move, I'm anticipating a similar move to take it up to the 4, 4.5 area. TERN, one of my top picks of the year, in a beautiful rising channel. You can see that support has to be around 9 3/4. Resistance and target is 12 3/4, 13.75 and above. Technoglass broke down late last week, seems to have held near initial support. If it breaks down here, you might get a retest of 36 there. But I'm looking for this to hold right where it is. Snap back, targets 43 and 46. TGTX had a beautiful 3-week long flag after a big run up. Still very bullish. Next targets are high 30s. The ISI exploded last week and took out its declining topside in all moving averages, so it might have momentum enough to get to near 10. TLS, well, after a long decline, took out that from the inverse head and shoulders, broke out above the moving averages, formed a beautiful flag, and then popped sharply on Friday. And that's why it's on the list today. This one can get momentum, looking for 4.5, 5.25 and above. Tenaya broke out of its base, pulled back on wedge, broke out, and now it's flagging. I like to look for another wave up to 10. Uber, beautiful base, pop breakout flag. I like to look at this one too. My target's 44.5. Upstart, also coming out of a long decline, broke out of a falling wedge with a big breakaway gap. Notice the pullback that tested the moving averages, which are crossing over, and then a vertical move to test resistance near 30. If it holds support at 22.5, 3, my target's 37.8. Viking's been beautiful since it broke out of the wedge with a breakaway gap and had another one there. It's a massive, massive 1, 2, 3, 4. I think one more wave coming with 30 or better. VRNA, one of my long-term picks of the year, stabilizing, but has key resistance and target at 23.75, followed by 26.75. Voyager breaks out of a base, pulls back in coils, spikes out of the coil, forms a little wedge, pops up, pulls another falling wedge. There's one more target coming up at 15. BYNE, big run up and wedge, near resistance. For me, the next target is 14.5, 3/4. XPO Logistic coming out of a base and forming a flag, powerful look to it, but it needs to take out, and the target is near 54. And that's it for the longs. I have a few shorts to show you. We can finish up today. On the box of shorts list, APA still in a downtrend, although it has bounced. Should this thing get underneath this level, this thing could fall apart all the way down into 20 somewhere, but we'll have to see it. Right now, it's a neutral bearish to me. AZPN is bearish as it gets, a massive breakaway gap and a bear coil. Break of this coil, we're headed down to 150, 138 and below. BOX with a massive decline and now a long 2-month flag. It's trying to pop out of it. Keep an eye on a cover over 30, but any roll over here, we could be looking at 22.3. CF remains in a bad looking downtrend. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th wave's underway, but it could lead to 55, 56 before it's over. Mayfield's been bearish since it broke down here from the bear coil there and another bear flag there. But it did spike down. It probably was a cover down there near 30 after dropping down from the 60s. Although we're not sure what this is. If it breaks out, we cover. If it breaks down, looking for 26.7. CPRI, breakaway gap, another bear coil. This is what I was talking about when I showed you AZPN, similar pattern. CPRI had the same pattern there. Remains in a downtrend. DDS, this retailer broke down from the bear wedge, broke down from the bear flag, and just been drifting. Now, if it gets above 3023, it may be a cover, but at the same time, if it breaks down underneath 274, we might look at 255 and even 225. Dyno in the oil sector was a tech trader bear swing 49 to 37, and now the bear bear flag is forming. EC stop above last week's high, above 44. It's close to it, but a rollover could take it to 36. DBN. That one is also in a bear, oil bear. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave down and bounce. But look at the bear flag here and the rising bear wedge there. Pulling back to retest, you can cover over 53, but a move down to 40 is not out of the realm of possibilities. Floor, breakdown, bear flag, breakdown, bear wedge. I'm looking for lower levels in a 5th wave that takes me to 24.5. NFE breaks the top, forms a wedge, another bear coil. Looks to me like it's still going lower. Look at Friday's dip to new lows. I would say a move down to 1920s is very possible. Overstock's been on my list for a year and change. Ever since it was here in the 50s, it's dropped into the high teens, which I said at the time I thought it was going to. Now I'm looking for 13. PBH broke down from the rising wedge and pulled back to test support. If it breaks here, we can see 54 and even 48. Impinge, big breakdown and bear wedge. Right now I'm saying that it can cover it if it goes any further, but if it starts to roll over, 76.7 is the target. Planet Fitness broke down and from the wedge and broke that wedge. I think it drifts lower, 62 and 56 targets. And finally, Vital Energy, which is a bear swing of mine from the mid 60s and made it down to 40, is still forming some sort of bear coil, and now has a target in the mid 30s from 44. Folks, that's a look at the longs, the shorts, the technicals, the ETFs, the underlying indicators. A bunch of longs and shorts. I think you should be prepared for next week. Please review this in depth. Write down some ideas. If you have any questions, you can always ask me. But for now, have a wonderful rest of your 3-day Memorial Day weekend. And I will talk to you guys later. Take it easy, everybody.